What is happening out there, rotoscouts basketball fans? Welcome to the show, gang. Quiet Thursday afternoon. Little four-game slate tonight. 7:30 start. We're getting started 4:30. A little time to spare today. Didn't have too much to do. Was up early. Finally, hopefully, getting around to getting sleep corrected. Fell asleep fairly early for me last night, so I was up around. Got the projections posted a little earlier than I have been. Been on top of the various injuries and absences that we've got to deal with today. For a four-gamer, there's a couple wrinkles on this slate for sure. We already know a couple of the biggies. No LeBron, no Anthony Davis for the Lakers. Both ducking not only a nationally televised game, but a nationally televised rivalry game. And not even a Western Conference rivalry game, a Celtics rivalry game. Like the classic NBA matchup. League is going to be pissed about that one. Especially when they're both like every single day. Questionable, doubtful, probable. Like, pick a different game to get your rest in. Come on. Yeah. Tisnails at ducking. Although, who knows? I mean, maybe AD's legit banged up. Maybe LeBron just wants out of town. Or is just trying to get things changed. Maybe he wants out of town. Maybe he wants to bring DeJounte Murray to town. Zach LaVine to town. That's the other big rumor out there. But LeBron clearly wants some change. He's pretty frustrated. Doesn't seem like Darvin Ham is long for this world. I could put together a little package for LeBron. I wouldn't if he decides he wants to come to New York finally. There's a couple good years left there. Can't really think of a better player to add, honestly, if you're saying like, hey, I want to chase a title. I've got the core together. Short-term investment in a player like that who certainly knows how to get you over the top in the playoff run down the stretch. Feels like he would be a reasonable addition to this team without totally screwing the chemistry too. I could see it. Couple of ones and a Evan Fournier contract gets you most of the way there. Throw in a Quentin Grimes or a whoever needs the contract balance. That'll get you most of the way there. Then LeBron gets to be a free agent in the offseason. Gets to negotiate with New York. Gets to negotiate with Miami. Go back that way. I could see it. I feel like they're definitely going to be looking to bring players in and not send LeBron out, though. Let's be realistic about it. Celtics social posted a picture of KP blocking LeBron about 30 minutes ago, says Tiz. Nice. Yeah, I'm sure the Celts will have fun with that one. Should tee up a pretty significant Celtics victory. Does definitely concern me now a little bit more about like what does that mean on the back end of that game for like Jason Tatum. Porzingis certainly, dealing with, I'm sure, still a little bit of soreness in the ankle and everything, like, little bit dicey. But obviously, it's going to be one of those situations where, in a lot of cases, if they're that far ahead in the fourth quarter, they've gotten most of the way there. And on a four-game slate, we can't be too picky-choosy about where we're spending our money. There's not that many priced-up options, especially with AD and LeBron both coming off the board. Not that many priced up options for us to put our money into. But anyway. Fanatics here. Fanatics saying, bro, do you think Larry Bird was like, I'm sitting for the Lakers? He's not. Larry, I'm sure, would be out there playing on a broken leg against the Lakers. And it's like what I was saying about MJ the other day. It's just, the medical science and certainly the money and everything involved is a completely different universe than it was back in the 80s, the 90s, and so on. But there was most definitely a different competitive spirit. I saw it just the other day after we were talking about that. Let me pull it up. In his career, $11 times. Michael Jordan played 80 or more games 11 times. He played the full 82. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those 11. 81 and 80 in a couple others. Had one 94-95. He only played 17 games. That was coming back after the first retirement when he went and played minor league baseball at age 30 in 93-94. Gambling suspension retirement, whatever you want to call it. In the run-up to that, he had played his rookie year, 82, just 18 games in 85-86. Then played between 78 games, which he played in 92-93. Every other year in that stretch was above 80 games. Played minor league baseball. Came back for the late run in the playoffs in 94-95. Played 3 straight years in which he played 82 games, averaging 37.7, 37.9, and 38.8 minutes a game. 30.4, 29.6, and 28.7 points per game. Then went and retired for 3 more years. Came back at age 38 with the Washington Wizards. Played 35 minutes a night. Put up 22.9 points per night. Played 60 games that year. And then at age 39, his last year in the NBA in 2002-2003, played all 82. At age 39, played all 82. Averaged 20 on the nose for the miserable Washington Wizards. And he played 37 minutes a night. 37 minutes a night, all 82, at age 39 for a go-nowhere team. That's what we're talking about when we talk about the difference in competitiveness. It's just a different world. These guys don't exist in that same universe. Anyway, Cujo's here. Cujo, first one in the door. How's everyone today? I've had, like I said at the top, Cujo, I was up early. Been kind of just hanging around. You also have that, like, you guys have like 1, 2, maybe couple people in your life that like can just like put their finger on your day pretty effectively. Couple of words here or there, pretty effective on your mood or whatever. I got some of that going on, but that's why I just jumped right on the show. You know, it was just easier to just like, hey, let's just start talking to my pals, get into a better mood, start talking about some basketball, not worry about that stuff for a little while. Let me mute my phone for the incoming text message that I'm sure I'll get now. Anyway, I share with you guys. Mamba's here, Fanatic's here. Who else is here? Tiz, we said hi to Tiz. Beantown. Larry's here. Larry C. Speaking of playing in a back brace, Mamba, look at him on the Dream Team. You talking about what, Bird? Yeah, Larry got wrecked by some bad injury luck with the back. But you don't take anything away from Larry Bird. He was one of the all-timers. Woody's here. What's up, Woody? Cujo knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. Jake Swales. What's going on, Jake? Jake blaming society for the NBA's minutes woes. Alec, you can point your finger at a lot of different things for it, of course. And, I mean, there's also the idea that, you know, back then, a lot of these guys didn't really grow up just playing together on the same youth teams and have so much interaction where everybody's pal. Like, Jordan legit hated everybody in the league, including most of his teammates. He was just a competitive maniac. A lot of these guys, they grow up together. They play ball all their lives together. I'm sure, you know, many of them don't like many others, but there's a lot of tight friendships on those teams across. So the rivalries can only get so tough. The competitiveness can only get so tough when it's like, hey, I didn't beat him tonight. You know, I'm glad he played well. Everybody had a good game. Like, that just wasn't in Jordan's DNA. And it was a little bit different back then with stuff like that too. There's a lot of different angles you could take on that though. Anywho, this is not sorted yet. Seems we're run just before 4:30. I don't think we got any critical news at 4:30, so we should be all right. Friday, yeah. Muscala placed in the concussion protocol doesn't impact this slate, and Friday news doesn't impact this slate. So we're good to go there. All right, so we'll start with the game environments. Let me pull up the Pinnacle board here. Pacers and the Knicks should be a pretty good one. Keeping our eyes on OG's status for that one. But we kind of know how the Knicks fall one way or the other. There should, either way, be some pretty strong value there. OG will just be another pretty good piece from the mid-range for them. DiVincenzo will look good again, although his price is going up, but the scoring has obviously been right there with it the last couple of games, and should continue to have those kind of opportunities. Just shooting the lights out from three right now. Josh Hart will be on the board. Jalen Brunson, one of the top projected overall players on the board. He's been at like 1.45 with no Randall on the season, so a lot to work with from the Knicks. High-end game in terms of the pace up for them playing against the Pacers. 3-point spread, the closest game on the board in terms of the point spread, 235.5. That is third best out of the four games. But that's right there, though, with Lakers and Boston at 239, and then Philly, Utah at 239.5. Those games are all fairly equal. The outlier is Cleveland at Memphis. Cleveland favored by 8 on the road, 215 point total. Kind of a clunker, but there's definitely pieces there. We know that there's a couple options on the Cavs, and then the Memphis value is potentially all over the place again. A couple guys are already showing value. There's still a couple question marks, so we could have some definite pieces even with that low total that just makes sense from a points per dollar, plug them in by the square kind of a basis. Lakers at Boston. As discussed, no LeBron, no AD for the Lakers, so that's now a 14.5 point spread. 239 on the board in that one. So still expecting a good amount of scoring, even without the two stars there. That crested D'Lo. He went up to the top of the Lakers board, and I'm sure we'll see. As you guys are looking at it, I'm not looking at the screen right now, but I'm sure like Rui's up there and D'Lo and several of the other cheapo Lakers like we saw the other day. And then Philly, no Embiid again. Maxey questionable. 5-point spread. Philly underdogs on the road in Utah. Not used to seeing Philly as underdogs against Utah. Philly underdogs with no Embiid and Maxey questionable on the road in Utah. 239.5 point total on the board there. Obviously, can get some scoring on both ends in that one. Definitely a lot of mid-range options from the Utah side like we keep on seeing. And then taking a look at the known knowns, the known unknowns, the Rumsfeld of it all. Afternoon announcements were Evan Mobley went to out. LeBron James, Anthony Davis both out. And then questionables, we have Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell, Jalen Smith, OG Anunoby, Quentin Grimes, who I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Knicks, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. I can cross them off, I guess. Tough to keep up with the cross-outs. I do them some days, other days I don't. Luke Cornett, Santi Aldama, John Conchar, Nicholas Batum, Tyrese Maxey. Not Tyrese, little typo. And then outs, Julius Randle, Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, Desmond Bane, Luke Kennard, who's doubtful, Jake LaRavia, Derrick Rose, who's doubtful, probably not going to make it back today, doesn't seem like. Zaire Williams also out. Joel Embiid out, Robert Covington, DeAnthony Melton, Marcus Morris Sr. is doubtful. Doesn't seem like Marcus is going to play. So we're waiting on a couple key pieces, primarily, half of Indiana, of the Pacers, a couple pieces from the Knicks, and then that Memphis news at this point. Obviously, Maxey is a big piece for Philly. I feel a little bit more optimistic that we get Maxey. I feel like we're probably going to get OG. I have no idea about Quentin Grimes. I feel like we're probably going to get Tyrese. So hopefully those ones come through. But right now, jumping back to the board here. Mambo says, by the way, this slate today is absolute shit. Jake's calling it for White Kobe. I assume that's Austin Reeves. Hillbilly Kobe, White Kobe. That is heaping a hell of a lot of praise on Austin Reeves. They wear the same jersey. That's about it. Buzz, he says Reeves is garbage. Yeah, I honestly, I haven't succeeded with Reeves. Maybe it's a little bit more me. I know he's been good. He's shown flashes, and through the postseason last year and everything was good. But yeah, I just DFS wise, I haven't been there a lot on his successful nights. But that is definitely some high praise. Larry C., I thought you were talking about Brian Scalabrine. Beach Bum. Beach Bum says, NBA adopted Euro-style basketball. It's killing the league. Need to go back to real basketball. Women's college basketball gets more views than the NBA. I'm going to dispute that women's college basketball gets more views than the NBA. You're not wrong about the Euro-style adoption of basketball. It depends on what you're looking for. Like if you want to go back to 90s style, 78 to 76 grindy kind of games, no three-point shooting. I don't think you're going to sell more tickets or more views that way. There's probably a happy medium. There's certainly a better approach to getting the stars actually on the court. And by the way, don't blame the stupid league rule for Embiid's injury the other night. Like, all right, maybe that's why they decided to put him in, but it's still up to the team whether he plays, and individual awards shouldn't matter at all. They put him out there. That's on the Sixers. And then he was out there. That injury came later into the game. He didn't need to be out there that long. Just ridiculous. Scalabrine does the telecast for the Celtics? I didn't know that. That makes so much sense. Red Lightning, is that his nickname? Never heard that one. So anyway, Austin Reeves, as we're talking about him, top of the board. 72.67% of your DraftKings lineups, point guard, shooting guard eligible, 6,200 on FanDuel, 6,800 small forward, shooting guard eligible, 69.5% win rate over there, 90% of your top 150, 72.6% on DraftKings win rate, and 87% of your top 150 in that sim. We are getting to a ton of Austin Reeves. We're getting to a ton of Rui Hachimura. I feel like you can play several of these guys together on a 4-game slate. I have no real issue with going to 4 Lakers. We'll see how often. I made sure to set the sims to 4 so we can take a look. I'll take a quick look, actually, so we can just talk about it off the top. We'll just see how many of these came up with 4. Looks like we are getting a number of lineups. Quite a few lineups in the top 150 on FanDuel at the top of the top 150. Not all, but maybe a little less than half, but a lot of these have 4 Lakers in them, just off the top. On DraftKings, it might be even more than on FanDuel. So I would not restrict lineups to 3 tonight just based on how they're coming up in these sims. And that's important to do. Like, it's important to be aware of settings and tools and everything. Because if you ran this with default settings, depending on where you're doing things, you might set up a sim and you're running with a 3 max and you're just running an incorrect version of the slate. Because even if you don't want lineups with 4 players, let's say you have, you've done research and it doesn't come through as often as it might sim through, or whatever your basis might be. You would still want to build your pool out, allowing that to get to 4. And I mentioned this because if you're using AceMind, the default settings on AceMind is for a 3 man, which is typically the way I would approach it. But for a slate like this, you definitely want to change that to 4. Let the pool get built with 4-man lineups being allowed. And then if you want to restrict your lineups to 3, you build up, build 1,000 lineups of your own with max 3, run those against the pool that allows 4 and see how they did against it. And then you can kind of gauge whether you should allow 4 into your builds or not. But right now, definitely looking like we want 4. So I have no real issues with 4 Lakers. Definitely going to be some lineups with 3 Lakers, 2 Knicks, those kinds of combinations. But we can see at the top of the board, with Reeves and Hachimura up there, Christian Wood a few spots down, Jared Vanderbilt right here, Taurean Prince hiding all the way down here with his terrible, terrible rates. Total security of minutes, terrible rates. So it's really Vandy, Christian Wood, and then these 3. D'Lo, like I said before, picks up a big bump from where he was. He's 10, 11 points higher than he started the day with those 2 going out. Easily the most talented scorer on the line in the lineup today for LA, but definitely a guy that we know can go out there and put up a clunker on us from time to time. So D'Lo comes with a little bit of an asterisk. It's not that he's gonna. There's in no universe does he come with a don't play kind of a warning. He is a absolute smash at 7,600 both guard spots on FanDuel. You're getting 67% of them in winners. You're getting 73% of them in your top 150 by ROI. On DK at 73, point guard only, 52% win rate, 62% of your top 150. He's a smash play. He just comes with that little warning label, caution, volatile. And on a day where a volatile guy like that is incredibly, incredibly chalky, it's just worth mentioning. Ton of the Lakers, decent amount of Philly, and then sprinkle some Knicks here and there, says Larry. I don't disagree with that, buddy. Steven Leibowitz has 3 Lakers, 1 Knick, and 4 from the late game with swappable parts. Yeah, I don't dislike that approach, Steven. 3 Lakers, 1 Knick definitely sounds like a good foundation, as long as they're the right 3 Lakers and one of several correct Knicks. And then, yeah, there should be enough pieces and parts in that last game, Philly-Utah. Not only do you have big man value in Paul Reed, could even see some, what's Mo on 45 on DK. FanDuel, he's cheaper, I think. Yeah, 42 on FanDuel. So Mo is creeping through a little bit on FanDuel at 42 with just 16 minutes attached. At 45 on DraftKings, maybe not him, but you've certainly got some low-end options there. If you get Tyrese, you've obviously got him up at the top of the board. I think Tobias Harris is always a worth considering, at least from the mid-range. And if you get the situation where it's Tobias and then just, Kelly Oubre and guys like that, then I think Tobias goes up even further with no Maxey out. If you get no Maxey, guys like Oubre. So yeah, a lot of options in that last game available for you, and a bunch of flexibility, like you said, depending on how things fall. And that's not even to mention, of course, Larry Markkinen, and then the Clarksons, the Sextons of the world. So I don't dislike that approach to the slate at all. Could be Travis. What's going on, bud? My man. He said my man to me first. I say my man back. I didn't just come out with a my man there. What's going on, buddy? Up top of the world today? It's a wild video. It's going around. It was landed on my Twitter algorithm. I hate that I'm like doom scrolling again these days. It's sending out these links, and then, like I was saying the other day, just like that algorithm is good at just getting shit to pop up. And once you start clicking on one, it's just, it's the worst. And not to be the person sitting here talking about a Twitter video that he saw, but I saw a cool video. And it's relevant because I was, sitting on top of the crane, top of the world. These dudes at the top of Everest, and it was a perspective I've never seen. It was a 360 camera, like above them, and it just made it like you could see like the outline. I don't know if it was real. It seems like it was fake, because every other video I've seen of the peak of Everest, even from above, it's just like you see these people on top of a mountain, you see the other mountains, and this one it was like, here's us, and then it's like a fisheye, and then it's like the circumference of the Earth. Really cool looking, but weird / maybe fake. I don't know, but cool looking. Also just made it look like you just like straight fall off the side of that goddamn mountain and drop 20,000 feet. Trav's up, ready to come down from the crane. Another day building a warship. I didn't know that's what you were building down there, buddy. Could be a busy couple of years for you guys with the way things are going. One of ours almost got taken out yesterday. Came down to the PDCs, the point defense cannons, at the last possible. Last possible. They probably shot it down a mile from the ship or whatever, but came too close, closer than anybody wants. Anyway, not to get into global affairs or anything. Tiz says, so the Lakers are good value, but no one from Boston feels great to click. Maybe Peyton Pritchard plays a bit more if the game gets out of hand at 3.6, but I don't know how to go about it. Yeah, a little bit dicey with the Celtics side of things. Like you can see right there on line 9, Tatum obviously looking very good. One of the highest projected, if not the highest projected overall player. I think he's the highest projected player on both sites. But could easily go out there and just not have much ceiling beyond this. We might be talking about just a day where we're 48 to 55 fantasy points, but not beyond. And, no possibility of getting beyond, which definitely would hamper this. This obviously includes and requires those slates where he gets beyond this mean projection. So it does become a little concerning, especially for Tatum at the high price. And then my second biggest concern would probably be Zinger, who's the next highest rated guy on the DraftKings slate. FanDuel, they're both a little bit lower priority. But yeah, I would be just for Porzingis, just, with the general fragility and then, the specific injury that he was just coming off of the other day, does get a little concerning. He's probably not going to see a ton of fourth quarter run if they're up 25 points. Jalen could also lose some, but he's only at 86. So if Jalen gives me around my, 45, 50 for my 86, 85 on DraftKings, I'm all right with that on a 4-gamer. I think Jalen's not safe because Jalen could obviously go out there and, just give you 30 on a night like that. But I feel a little bit less hesitant about it just because his price is in like that fair mid-range. Drew, Derek White, it applies, decreasingly. And then, yeah, I do think if you want to try and pick off some of those guys, some of those, the Pritchards of the world, the Hausers of the world, I think there's probably room to throw a few darts, even though it doesn't necessarily sim through. Because Pritchard at 16 minutes, not going to sim through great. He looks a little better on DK at 3,600. But Pritchard at 22 minutes would look definitely playable to, strong. Or to decent anyway. So yeah, I don't hate the idea of throwing a few darts at that, just around the idea that maybe a guy like that picks up a little bit of additional run. You also might lose Cornette if he doesn't go. So maybe get a little bit more spread through that, bench. Sometimes the words just don't come to you. Boss thinks the Lakers are unplayable. Just because they're not good basketball players doesn't make them unplayable. It's a value situation. I know we got burnt by that with Dallas last night, but it's a math problem. It's not take the names, take the fact that it's Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura if you don't think they're good basketball players. It's just about rates, numbers, price tags. To go back to the old analogy that I've made a bunch of times, it's, how do those items fit into your suitcase? What's the best suitcase you can pack with the items that you have available to take on the trip with you? And those Lakers are travel sized toothbrushes and very easily folded, very nice clothes. That is, they are key items to this slate. Whether they do or don't work out, it doesn't matter. It would be incorrect to not play Lakers on this slate, to just decide that they're not good and not play Lakers. So I do disagree with you on that one, boss. I get what you're saying. They're on. I don't like the idea of playing a ton of Rui Hachimura either, but I'm gonna because it's the right play. Christian Wood, don't like the idea of playing a ton of Christian Wood. It's the right play. 2 of these guys are gonna fail. 2 of these guys are gonna succeed. It's just the nature of the beast. But you can't just scratch plays that come through that strongly math-wise. Dante DiVincenzo, like I said, top of the board from the Knicks. Playing out of his mind basketball, put up 60 in 39 minutes the other night on the FanDuel scoring scale. Led the NBA in three-pointers in the month of January. Tons of run, helping carry the offense right now in the absence of Julius Randle. So you know that AD and LeBron are out, right? There's an additional 70 minutes on the board beyond what they normally would have. Right now I've got Rui at 30. I've got Christian Wood at 24. D'Lo plays 30.7 a night. I've got him at 37. He's been playing a little bit more than this recently. Rui plays 22 on the average. I'm giving him an additional, or he plays 23 on the average. I'm giving him an additional 7. Those minutes got to go somewhere. There's only so many guys on the team. Yeah, those are the guys, those are the guys that are at the top of the board, boss. You nailed it. Rui, Wood, Vandy, those guys are here. Rui's the second highest name on the entire slate. Austin Reeves is the top. D'Lo, who is indisputably going to get run and going to soak up the most usage on that team tonight, is third. Christian Wood is here. Jared Vanderbilt is here. Taurean Prince is all the way down here, but Taurean Prince gives you 0.62 FanDuel points per minute, 0.63 DraftKings points per minute, basically in all situations. He's just not a reliable fantasy scorer. That's why he's down here, and he still is playable on both sides. Last game was no AD, but they had LeBron. We got 26 out of Vandy. We got 23 out of Rui, 24 out of Jackson Hayes, 22 out of Christian Wood. And you're dropping 36 additional minutes from LeBron into that equation. Max Christie probably goes from 11 to like 14 or something like that. Maybe Dylan Windler goes from 3 to like 8. But most of those minutes are going right through here. Right through these guys. Oh, plus, I don't disagree that they're trash. It's as far as basketball players, yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, there's not much sample for this situation from this year at all. Oops. Meant to. Yeah, no, I wish if it was a bigger slate, maybe there would be better options, more options. Maybe some values open up from Memphis that can jump into this situation. But right now, yeah, there's going to be a lot of yellow in my lineup for sure. And also not, it's a solid game total, but going up against Boston is not the best environment to be playing your scrubs against either here. Let me take that message off the screen there. So, yeah, I mean, that's another strike in against them. And this factors all of that in. This factors in minutes, or the available minutes that I'm assigning to them. Factors in all their prices and what these players, who they actually are and what they actually do in these situations. As best as we can, estimate what tonight's situation is going to be like. So, yeah, uncomfortably bad players in good DFS spots. So DiVincenzo, again, just shooting the lights out from 3 and just playing his ass off, really. But he's at 42.6% on the season now. One of the overall leaders in the NBA. D'Lo, by the way, at 41.7. If you like DiVincenzo, you got to like D'Lo a little bit. 2.6 a game, 2.8 a game. They're both taking 6+ and shooting over 40%. A lot of opportunity there. 7,600 too. It's just an objectively good price for D'Lo. I would play D'Lo at these prices, not with anywhere near the same expectation, but as he would be like a solid mixer. He'd probably have like high teens win rates if we had LeBron and AD in. It's just an effective price for a guy who can give you 102, 1.02, 1.05 per minute, and upwards of that too. Colin Sexton, 7,300, both guard spots on FanDuel. 66 on DraftKings, looks about the same on both sides. 35% win rates, 42% of our top 150 on DraftKings. That's where he's differentiated a little bit. Only 28% of the top 150 on FanDuel. Probably owned a little bit more on FanDuel. Yeah, 20 plus, and on DKs, Yep, owned about 10 percentage points or so more on the FanDuel slate than the projected ownership that's in the sim here. So we're getting him a little bit less against the win rate, but if you wanted to go up to, the field's around this level, around this exposure. If you wanted to go up and press it a little bit, since he is coming up with a better win rate than what the field's exposure is, even at this high a level, you can. There's a little bit of additional room on Colin Sexton there. On DraftKings, there's even more. We're getting to him ahead of where that win rate is, and this win rate is, both of these are well ahead of his projected ownership. Wood, I think we've talked about the Lakers a good amount now. 22 minutes the other night, 21.6 FanDuel points. 0.94 on the season, 0.95 on DK. Has been playing at a rate higher than that over the month of January, and one of those guys in that mix of guys with plenty to do tonight. Tobias Harris, like I said up at the top, looks really good right now, and if you get no Maxey, there's even more opportunity for him. Right now, 7,700 both forward spots, 27.14% win rate on FanDuel, getting him at exactly that rate on the, not exactly 27.33% in the top 150. On DraftKings, 32% win rate, 33% of our top 150 for 7,000. Looks like a really strong option. 0.96 per minute on the season, 0.97 on DraftKings. Where do I have him right? Where are you, Tobias? He was 0.87 last season. I've got him up at like 1.1 on the day today, just given the situational aspect of that one. I had it up on the screen like 4 hours ago. Actually, there's like 11 guys missing from that one. Tobias looks like a good option, suffice to say. Travis is here. Travis Wyndham. What's up, Trav? Oh, Beantown, get that blasphemy out of your mouth. Could be a Fournier night. Ugh. Is OG out? Did that get announced? I haven't seen that yet, guys. For OG. Whoops. Yeah, boss. I don't. Wait. Just wait on the Knicks look good anyway. This is with OG in currently, and that's where DiVincenzo is. Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson are a few lines further down. But if you look down near the bottom of the screen, OG is actually in these projections, pulling 37 minutes. The Knicks just look good. They're situationally good. It's a great spot for pace and offense against Indy. Plenty of opportunity for just basically everybody to continue what they're doing, even with OG coming back, or potentially coming back. With Randall out, there's just endless opportunity there for whoever wants to go take it. So Jalen looks great. 22.19% win rate on FanDuel, 25% of your top 150. Pretty similar on DraftKings, 22-21. One of the most highly projected players on the slate. I've seen him just below 50. I've seen him a couple points above 50 where I'm trending. I just really like the spot. 9,900 on FanDuel, 9,600 on DraftKings, 1.19 points per minute on the season, 1.23 on DK. And for the season with no Randall, it's more like 1.45, 1.48, something in that neighborhood. Josh Hart, as always, comes with the warning about needing to make some buckets, but he's playing crazy minutes. 42 and a half minutes the other night. He put up 46 FanDuel points. He's getting more usage in this situation, but it's not a crazy jump in usage. But the opportunities are there. He's got license to take threes when he wants to take them. He just hasn't been shooting that well from three this season, but he rebounds really well. He's an underrated passer. He picks up steals, the occasional block. Like he's a whirlwind out there. He's one of those havoc-wreaking type players who can stack up some fantasy points. But if you get him on the night that's not, for whatever reason, the ball's coming off the rim in different directions than he's anticipating, and he's just, a couple of rebounds short. If the points aren't there, the real life points aren't there to make it up, you can get a lot of clunkers out of Hart. So he had a really good one the other night. We need him back right around this level, and you need a lot of, he's going to max you out at about a point per minute. He's still appropriately priced for it, 65, 63. But if he gets up a little bit more than that, we're going to be uncomfortably high price for Josh Hart. There's not much ceiling beyond a point per minute. So 46 in 42 and a half minutes the other night, this is your ceiling game from Josh Hart in most situations. He can get you to 50, but that is like absolute apex Hart. Brunson, we've got projected at 50. Maxey looks definitely great if you get him. that Utah team has all sorts of issues preventing scoring. He can absolutely light it up out there. 8,700 on FanDuel, point guard only. 40.31% win rate, 52% of our top 150. 9,100 on DraftKings, 21.5% win rate, 24% of our top 150. Definitely an option if he goes. Larry C points out, yeah, if we keep on scratching guys off, we're going to run out of teams. So I saw us. Triple J always looked pretty good, but especially when there's nobody around him. I did mention the other night, you get some situations where a guy like that could come up a little bit empty because he's not surrounded by anybody. He's easily the highest projected player on that team. On FanDuel, he looks a little bit stronger. 10.3% win rate, 8.6% of our top 150. On DraftKings, 4.7% win rate. Only got into a couple of the top 150 overall. It just means there's better options at the position. But he's you can play him in any given slate kind of a performer. 1.17 FanDuel points per minute, 1.16 DraftKings points per minute, with ceiling into the 1.4 range on the right night, which with nobody else there to support him, this could certainly be. We just got a lot of guys that are shining through for value from that team, like $4,700 Scottie Pippen, $5,700 Santi Aldama. If he goes, Vince Williams on FanDuel is looking even a little stronger, even though he's up to $6,900 at this point. But yeah, Triple J is always at worst playable unless he gets really spiked for price. If you see him in like the high nines, that's when he becomes a problem. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe if you're not already subscribed. A lot of people here hanging out. Good to see everybody. Love the chatter too. Keep them coming. This is what we're here for, is to talk through these plays. And trust me, I get where you're coming from, boss. What is it, boss? Bosquat? Like Basquiat? Bosquat? Adam Scherer is here. What's going on, Adam? Spell OG's name again? Adam Scherer in the house. Or maybe a fake Adam Scherer. Not sure if it's the real one or not. People are clamoring if that's the real Adam Scherer. People are clamoring to have Adam jump on the show. Just saying. What's going on, bud? Good to see you. A lot of people speculating, a lot of crazy speculation about what might have happened. Boss says he's fake. Just wants attention. That's cool. We'll give him attention. Either way. Let's keep this thing rolling. Sims courtesy of our pals at acemine.io, by the way, if you're new with us, if you haven't been here, if you've not been around in a little while. We'll jump into some of the position by position stuff here to kind of get this a little bit organized. Been bouncing around a little bit too much. So again, sorted by the... Everyone knows. Yeah, it's we had our little discussion here. I know there was a big podcast about it. I know there's been a lot of comments on Twitter about it and everything, but yeah, I think it went down in ways that I'm familiar with, to put it not too fine a point on it. So again, Lakers top of the board. Austin Reeves, D'Lo, Dante DiVincenzo from the Knicks looks excellent on both sides. Colin Sexton we talked about. Jalen just at the star level on the Knicks. Tyrese, Donovan Mitchell. I was trying to go down the board here and find somebody we hadn't touched on yet. So Donovan Mitchell, 1.37 FanDuel points per minute on the season, 31.4% usage rate. A lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland for sure, but Spider takes precedence over basically everybody. Went out 71.2 FanDuel points in 35 minutes the other night. Looks like one of the dominant options on the board. 15% win rate on the FanDuel slate. 10% of our top 150. On DraftKings, stronger, 17.6% win rate. Getting to him 13% of the top 150. So he's probably a little bit more popular than that win rate. Yep, out a little bit ahead of that win rate. 6-7 points, but I think you can get to him with the field at worst. One of the higher ceiling players on the entire slate overall. One of the most highly projected players as well. So no issues going to Donovan. Jalen, I mentioned when we were talking through the possibility of some of those Celtics losing some fourth quarter run in a blowout situation. But again, just at a relatively fair price, 8,600 on FanDuel, 85 on DK, small forward and shooting guard on both sites, giving you 15% win rate coming into the top 150, about half that on both sites. I think that's reasonable. Going from like 8 to 15% Jaylen Brown, even if you get burnt on a short game, the price doesn't necessarily kill you. The points per dollar in like a 35 point, 40 point performance around the median projection here doesn't necessarily kill you like getting a lower end game out of Jason Tatum for 10 and change would. So I think Jalen's a little bit more playable if you're hesitant because of the possibility of the blowout in the game with a 14.5 point total. So I get it, but he looks like a reasonable enough option. A couple differentiated guys through here on FanDuel that look a little bit better on the other side. $3,700 Chris Dunn pulling 13.5% win rate on the DraftKings slate, getting to him around 13% of the time. He's got that unique point guard, small forward flexibility. Point guard, shooting guard on FanDuel doesn't really come through at all at 5,200. 3.5% win rate and 0% of our top 150. Not really looking like an option over here, but looks like a good piece of the value pool on the DraftKings board. Drew just comes with that same little warning label, potential blowout in Boston. But at 63, it's the same situation where not going to completely kill you. At 63, if you get just around his projection, 11.5% win rate, 9.3% of our top 150. 0.92 points per minute on the season on DraftKings. Not the best overall output. What did he take? What kind of a step back did he take? Where was he last year? Where is he this year? There it is. Yeah, so he's for the season last year, 1.18 on the FanDuel scale, down to 0.92. Out of the key guys in the Celtics, out of that primary group, he's the guy who took the biggest overall haircut, or at least so far this season in terms of the fantasy rate. So he does come with a little bit of a capped ceiling in multiple ways, in that those other guys are outperforming his rates, and it's the way that they're going about the game. And I'm sure if you asked him, he's fine with it, and he's still getting his. But they're just winning basketball games. But it does have a little bit of a capping effect on his any given night ceiling. And then if you're worried about the blowout run on top of that, it maybe comes with a little bit bigger of a warning label, even at the price. But 63 is still aggressively good for Drew Holiday. If you catch him on a bit of a throwback night where he's giving you more than this 0.92. Ben Mathurin, if he's out there, reasonable enough option. 10% win rate on DraftKings, a little bit under that on FanDuel, getting to him a little bit less than that on both sites. A lot of single-digit guys through the middle here. All playable. Clarkson, Buddy Hield, Derek White, Kente George. Quentin Grimes, if he goes, is okay. Grimes, again, not to harp on it too much, but every time we talk about him, I've got to mention it, so I guess I am harping. 0.65 FanDuel points per minute on the season, 14.9% usage rate. Does trend north in the new situation that the Knicks are dealing with for the next couple of weeks. Randall only 2 to 3 weeks absence, by the way, or reevaluation in 2 to 3 weeks, but knock on wood that goes well. The other night, 20.4 minutes, 25.2 FanDuel points. It's okay. It's another one that I question the absolute ceiling, because Tibbs, even in this situation, doesn't love running Quentin Grimes out there, even when they're showcasing him to trade. He also took a bump the other night. He's questionable today. So there's a lot of things working against Quentin Grimes, in addition to his typically low usage, his need to knock down like 2 or 3 of those threes that he takes to make value for you on any given night. It's like a poor man's Josh Hart in a lot of ways. So it just comes with a big asterisk. Right now, 3.75% win rate on the FanDuel slate, 0% of our top 150. Don't really worry about it. 7.49% on DraftKings because he's only 3,900 over there. 6% of our top 150. This is, again, projected with Anunoby in, so you do have that issue. Josh Engelwoman. Well done. Josh Engelwoman, you spelled stochastic wrong. I like it. They banned me at Stochastic for sticking up for you, Neil, and Adam. I'll be here more often. Good show. All my old pals are welcome. That'd be fun if you guys wanted to hop on. I know that's not the real Josh, by the way. Tyrese Halliburton, assuming that he goes, looks a little bit limited. We've got him playing with a bit of a minutes question. In 22 minutes the other night, 33.6 FanDuel points at 10,000. I misspoke. Doesn't look good. 9,400. Not really looking like an option unless we get some news about full availability, in which case Tyrese Halliburton once again becomes Tyrese Halliburton. Darius Garland, just 22 minutes projected. Not that much on the board for him. Who are the differentiated pieces that I was looking for here? So Scotty at just 4,700 point guard only on FanDuel versus 4,700 point guard only on DraftKings looks very different site to site. 28 minutes projected, 36.3% win rate, and 60% of the top 150 on FanDuel. That's getting a lot of point guard shares on FanDuel. It does look like, just eyeballing it, the eligible point guards up here outside of Brunson and Maxey are all multi-position eligible. So it's probably a ton of lineups that are going to be Scotty and Brunson, Scotty and Maxey, and then you'll see all these other guys, small forward, shooting guard. The D'Lo shares will mostly probably fall at shooting guard. The Sextons mostly probably fall at shooting guard. It's going to be an interesting configuration there. But Scottie Pippen, Scottie Pippen Jr. looks like a pretty good option on FanDuel. Pulling 20.3% usage in his 4 games so far, playing 19.6 a night, but has upward run given the absences there. 31.5 minutes the other night, put up 30.9 FanDuel points. Not bad for the money. And then Oubre in Philly, 31.4% win rate, 22.6% of our top 150, giving us 0.86 per minute on the season. A little bit better than right around league average usage, 0.86 DraftKings points per minute on the season for 6,500 shooting guard, small forward. Gives us plenty and has additional upside beyond this in tonight's situation. And if you get no Maxey out there, it just feeds the beast for these other guys from Philly to just have more to do. He'll pick up a little bit of additional usage even beyond where he's projected at. So a little bit to work with for Philly and for Kelly Oubre, especially on the FanDuel slate. Not as much nearly on the DraftKings. Sub 4% win rate. None of our top 150 at 6,500. So very differentiated play site to site. Max Strus, definitely playable on FanDuel. Sam Merrill, same story. Beantown, I can never get Oubre right. Or Beantown saying he can never get Oubre right. Yeah, I've gotten Oubre wrong a number of times, but it's not a never situation for me. Just one of those guys in the right spot. I'll get enthusiastic about him, and then you get there, you don't get there. Like, the chips fall where they may. You could literally say that about anybody. It sounds dumb, but I think you know what I mean. So I've gotten there with him, but I've also failed with him. But it's a guy I'll jump on in the right situations for sure. Thin Skins, Greg thought Engelwoman was hilarious at one time. Engelwoman, you got banned for being a troll? I've never banned anyone on this channel. I wouldn't even know how to go about it anymore. Oh, there we go. I can do it from StreamYard. Ban user and delete their comments, put user in timeout. I didn't even know I could do this shit. I knew you could do it on YouTube, obviously. I still got, as of the last time I went and popped into a Stochastic show, I still have my admin rights on the YouTube channel over there. I was threatening to ban people. So I think that's our rundown on the guard spots. We got through the differentiated guys. A lot of slow talking here for a 4-gamer. That's okay. We're having fun. At least I am. Hopefully you guys are. Bunch of you hanging out tonight. Once again, hit the like button if you haven't. Pop into our Discord, too. Let me grab a new Discord link, because if there is one on this show, it's probably dead. Whoops. Follow the @rotoscouts Twitter handle. Pop into the Discord. There's the new link. Twice, for some reason. Got banned for breaking the news before anybody knew, and nobody wanted to believe me. Get it right. Yeah, look, there's little sensitivity sometimes about news. I get it. If we get to the level where 1,000 people are watching the show and a lot of different people are chiming in, I will certainly want to have one authoritative source for news. Right now, we're a little bit more scattershot than that. We welcome anybody's comments and contributions. But yeah, at a certain point, you do need to have that. Just this is our authoritative voice for news, and just don't speak on it. So I get it. If that was the case, I'm a loser till I win the Millie says I'm listening. I can't dealing with an autistic child. I acknowledge you, Terry. Hey, buddy, I appreciate you even being able to tune in. And autistic children are wonderful little creatures, little folks. They a buddy of mine, a friend of mine that I used to work with. This guy, I won't name him, but this guy I worked with at the IT company for like 10 years. Had 2 autistic sons, one more on the spectrum than the other, and I got to know the one who was less on the spectrum a lot better. But just great kids, smart, sweet kids. But I know it's, depending. I know it's a lot, so you rock, buddy. It's trying to find a way to say that's good. It's cool that you're here while you're taking care of the kid, Rui Hachimura up at the top of the board. Dante DiVincenzo, Tobias Harris. We've talked about most of these guys all the way up at the top. Jason Tatum, Josh Hart we talked about. Zinger, Jared Vanderbilt. Dr. DFS. Yeah, buddy, of course I will. Dr. DFS asks, will we be doing MLB shows? We did MLB shows every single slate last year. Actually, not shows for every single slate. I started the shows probably May of last year. I think I started doing shows. I was doing articles every single day, like a big ass long article every day, featuring every team, breaking it down, talking about all the stats and everything. So yeah, this year for MLB, we'll ramp things up. We'll have shows every single day like we were doing through 2/3 of the season last year. I'll have projections. I'll have the home run model on the site this year. So yeah, it'll be available. We'll see what it looks like, but yes, MLB is definitely a big focus here. Been counting it down in the MLB channel on the Discord. Counting down the days. There's 13 days until pitchers and catchers report. Every single day, counting it down. Doc, thank you. I appreciate that, buddy. Doc was a fan of the articles, read the articles. Yeah, we'll see. Those articles take a whole hell of a lot of time and effort. So the shows are actually easier to do, especially baseball. I can just jump on and talk about baseball all day with no prep. Basketball, I could talk about this slate, but to talk about it in these specifics, you got to run the numbers and be on top of it, obviously. But yeah, we'll see what the articles look like this year. But there will be more numbers for sure. We'll have shows every single day. Maybe we can get our pal Adam Scherer on some shows to talk baseball. Get Adam to talk basketball too. I would love to have somebody mention Gunn. I would love to have Gunn on shows. I joined him. He was nice enough to bring me when I was first jumping on. He was nice enough to bring me on his show. And I know a bunch of you guys came over from that effort. So, I appreciate the hell out of Gunn. But yeah, he's doing his pro wrestling thing right now. So I don't know how much DFS he's doing. I got to catch up with him, honestly. It's my fault that I'm not aware of it. But every now and then I see his tweets go out with some pro wrestling stuff. Looks like he's kicking some ass. I think he won a title the other day, if I'm not mistaken. His first solo title. I think he's only had tag titles in the past. But seems like he's doing really well with it, so I'm happy for him. But yes, Gunn's back doing baseball, absolutely. You can, I would say, expect to see us doing some shows. So Zinger, again, comes with the warning about the ankle. Coming off the ankle injury, obviously he's been back for a game or two, but in a blowout situation, he'd probably be the first guy I would expect to get some rest there. Looks pretty good, or is who he is type play at 81, power forward and center, 15% of our top 15% win rate, 16% of our top 150 on FanDuel. A little bit better because he's only 75 on DK, power forward and center. 19.7% win rate, 17% of our top 150. Another piece from Utah with John Collins at 64 on FanDuel, looks pretty decent. 15% winner, 10% of our top 150. He's probably outpacing his win rate a little bit with popularity. Just a couple of points, but he's a little bit ahead of that win rate. But I think Collins right around, field level ownership is perfectly fine. You want to get to put it right around that win rate, and you're probably all right with John Collins shares if you're playing 150. If you're playing 1, if you're playing 3, he's not necessarily a priority, but he's easily playable in that situation. And he's got decent upside on the right night. Projected at 29, 1.01 on the season, 19.5% usage rate, right around the right price on both sides. So John Collins definitely playable. Jalen we talked about. Larry Markkinen definitely has some upside here. Solid projection, 4.6 points per dollar on FanDuel, 4.9 points per dollar on DraftKings, giving you a 14.28% win rate over there. Pulling 9.3% exposure in our top 150. On FanDuel, it's 4% exposure in the top 150 against a sub 10% win rate, but definitely playable on both. And again, on a short slate, we do at some point need to just put some ceiling options in here. Just book some solid raw scoring. And we're definitely going to have the money to spend. So I think Markkinen may be a little bit better option than he might appear in terms of the how it maths out, just on the nature of the slate. He's at, that is not the right team. He's at high teens ownership on DK and like mid on FanDuel. So easy enough to get to field level at worst. We are coming up, though, Sims-wise, we are coming up shy of that. So the Sims are saying get a little under on him. I'm thinking you can probably book him into and around the mid-teens. But you probably want to be a little bit under the field, let's say. Santi, assuming that he goes, he's still questionable last I saw. Just reloading the news here. Let's see what we've gotten. Still all Friday stuff. Luke Cornett officially out. Okay. Was expecting that. That's just a handful of bench minutes. Doesn't look like anything else new. So Santi, if we get 28 minutes out of Santi at 5,700, he looks very strong on the FanDuel slate. He played 34-4 the other night. Put up 31.4 FanDuel points. Can give you around a point per minute. Has a little bit of additional upside beyond that on the right night. But most nights are going to be in the point per minute, 0.95 to 1.05 kind of a range. But that's enough for 27.37% win rate, 32% of our top 150 on FanDuel. About half that on DK, 13.6% win rate, and only landing in 8.6% of the top 150 against that. That's under the field's exposure. You could go half again on top of that and be at the field's level and probably be okay. If you were, right around this win rate in your exposure. But Sims-wise, Santi's also coming up a little bit under on DraftKings. Definitely looks stronger on FanDuel. Dean Wade kind of standing out a little bit. No Mobley for Cleveland tonight. So Dean Wade picks up a little bit, 17.29% win rate, only 4.6% of our top 150. On DraftKings, 12% across the board at 3,500. Not bad over there. Power forward and center. He's picking up not that bad in terms of popularity. Huh. So he's landing above this win rate and way above this exposure rate on the FanDuel slate in, the ownership projections that this was run against. And then on DraftKings, it's probably like it's basically right in this range. Yeah, like basically right in that level on the nose in terms of his public exposure on DK. So I think you can easily play him right around the field. And I'm actually I'm a little bit surprised he's not showing a little bit better than that, considering that ownership is at that level. You can maybe press that down a little bit, just if you need value squares at 3,500. It's probably also just the fact that there's a lot of them today. But if you need that value square at 35, I don't have an issue with grabbing a couple additional Dean Wade shares. I am surprised that he's as popular as his FanDuel exposure, projected exposure is like right around this win rate. We're getting him significantly less than that. I assume they probably got him projected higher than I do. Yeah, all right. So they're up by almost 2 FanDuel points over where I've got them. Same amount of minutes. All right. Once it's the same amount of minutes in that equation, I always want to take a quick look. I hate guys like this too. This is the kind of guy that I would love to have several different sources to see where the consensus is on a player like this. 0.62 last year, 0.70 this year. I've got him at 0.71 tonight in a game where they're, basically on the nose for their projected possessions. Thrilling, I know. I think that's right on where his number's been since the start of January, if I remember what I did with this team correctly. Out. It's actually ahead of his rate with Mobley out. 271 minutes in the month of January with no Mobley is at 0.67. Got him at 0.71. I find it hard to justify giving him any more than that. I feel like maybe I'm right and they're wrong. Don't know. Doesn't really matter. We're talking about quibbling over, a point or two. But that point or two is apparently making the difference between him making sense to get exposure to about this level or cut that exposure by 2/3. Still a 17% win rate even where I've got him projected. But that 2 points is crucial probably to his upside. So I feel like it's a night to be under on Dean Wade on FanDuel, right around the field level on DK. OG is a little bit differentiated across sites. 13.4% win rate on FanDuel, 10.6% of our top 150. DraftKings, a little bit under 10%, about half that in terms of the exposure. Playable on both, looks better on FanDuel. Triple J we talked about, also better on FanDuel, but playable on both. Vince, same story. Both of those guys, 10.3%, 14.7% on the FanDuel slate, just below 5% win rates on DraftKings. And then Kelly Oubre, once again, just FanDuel looks very, very strong on DraftKings. Didn't land in the top 150. Does have a 4% win rate, so if you grab a couple shares, it's no problem with it. But definitely, he's an asset to the FanDuel slate. He's just an also-ran on DraftKings. Little 6% there for David Roddy. If he sees, they get no Santi, there's a couple additional minutes there. We could probably find a few additional minutes for Roddy to make him look a little bit better. Went 34-6 the other night, put up just 23 FanDuel points. He's a 0.72 per minute player, but with just a lot of opportunity there. If you see the projection go up, you can, suffice to say, you can expect to get to him a little bit more. But I don't think he's going to get to the point where he's critical to either site. Hauser maybe picks up a little bit. I got to look. I forget if Neemias Queta's active. I think we'll probably just go to him. There's also Brissett's there. Celtics are fairly straightforward with where those minutes drop to. Blackmane, what's going on, bud? He just talks BVP. Yes, that is the nature of my baseball show, Larry. You nailed it, buddy. It's all about BVP, revenge games, narratives, whatever I can find. Pitcher doesn't like the color of the other team's uniforms, doesn't like the manager on the other team, whatever the case may be. Something to prove to the fans because he used to play there, whatever. We don't care about numbers at all in baseball. That and what happened in those 6 times that batter faced that pitcher. That's all we ever care about. Yeah, not so much. Larry's heard my lecture on BVP a number of times, I'm sure, over the years. Good stuff. Ket is active. So, yeah, he probably gets the lion's share of whatever garbage minutes I have projected for Cornette. I think he's got, like, does he have, like, 20 on him? Where is he? Rotations. I just had him at 12. And Keta went 14. Yeah, I probably just hand those directly to Keta. And I don't think that makes him a play. Just going to be backup minutes. 44, 35 on DK. Yeah, probably not even. Even if you wanted to like chase the idea of like he plays the entire fourth quarter because they're blowing him out or something like that. Like it's probably still too thin to make it a DFS play. There's so many options at that price range on a 4-game slate that feels a little stretchy. Looking down at guys who were actually options, though, solid handful of single-digit types. Kelly O is playable. Ben Mathurin I mentioned, but again, playable. Non-priority types. Taurean Prince, Aaron Nesmith. Prince, you could easily argue, should be prioritized a little bit more, just given the security of minutes, the certainty of minutes. But again, 0.62 FanDuel points per minute on the season. The other night he went out 24.8 minutes. 11.4 FanDuel points in that game with no AD. Tonight, we're obviously getting more opportunity. No AD, no LeBron. But he's still Taurean Prince. That's the biggest factor here. So out of all those Lakers, he's the one who like I don't necessarily see really shining through. Could do. I think it makes sense to have a few shares. On DraftKings, he looks better because he's only 3,800. At 5,000 on FanDuel, even with the positional flex, no real love for him. On DraftKings, 99.9% win rate, 6% of our top 150. Yeah, throw him into some shares. On FanDuel, it's just more of a dart based on just security of minutes. And you're very likely to just land 15 to 18 fantasy points. Most of these options through here, again, just playable types. Quentin Grimes, if he's out there. Buddy Hield, if he's... Buddy's going to be out there. Quentin Grimes, if he's out there. Buddy Hield. Jalen Smith, I believe he's questionable if he's out there. Gone through most of these. Fontecchio, 11.2% winner on DraftKings, 8% of our top 150. 4,200, that's okay. 0.78 DraftKings points per minute, 15.1% usage. It's borderline. Like that's scraping like the bottom of that level of guys that it's like you're differentiated by your low rate, your low usage. Like some of those Knicks that I warn about. Fontecchio is just barely there. At 5,100 on FanDuel, small forward only, not really getting there. 0.67% of our top 150. Let's jump to center, and then we'll take a quick look at some of the lineups, how they came up in Sims. Mama's loving it. All right. Projections are matching what Mama's got in his lineup. That's either very good or that's very bad sometimes, I always find. Anytime I let me throw in my placeholder and I hand-built what turned out to then when I went over and checked projections, turned out to be the dead optimal. That always starts to concern me a little bit. I like to know or think I know just enough about the slate and then have the rest filled in by the numbers and how the numbers work. When everything jibes with what I just looks like on the surface is when I get concerned. But I'm glad it's working for you, Mamba. John Gotti, what's going on? Good to see you're still around. I thought you sold your DVD collection and rode into the sunset and retired. If you need anybody to sleep with the fishes at Stochastic, just let me know. Nah, no hard feelings over at Stochastic. My old pals. Plus, half the people I work with aren't over there anymore. But yeah, it's no issues, no hard feelings. But I appreciate the offer. Means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. I was talking about that the other day with my buddies because Godfather's on all the time now. One of the showtimes just plays 1, 2, 3 just on a loop over and over and over again. Quentin Grimes ruled out. All right, that opens up some. Oh, John, I know. Trust me, I totally get you. But I was saying that when I was watching The Godfather in our text thread the other day with my buddies, I was just saying if you really think about it, was it that good an idea to send Luca Brasi, of all people, the guy who in the opening scenes is at the wedding, Don Corleone, I am honored to be called here on the day of your daughter's wedding to He can't even string together 3 sentences to thank the man that he's known for years, he's his most loyal, trusted soldier. Can't even string together 3 sentences to say to the Don, that's the guy you choose to go infiltrate, go undercover, convince the other bad guy, the other organization, that you don't like your Don anymore, you want to go to work for them, and then find all the information. He gets killed in the first scene. Spoilers for a 50-year-old movie. He gets killed the first moment he goes and tries to pull that off. It's just a bad choice. The Corleones, outside of Michael, not the best decision makers. Yeah, Larry. Absolutely nails it. Larry says, I remember The Godfather never used to be on TV years ago. Yeah, you literally had to go rent it at the video store if you wanted to watch The Godfather. Like, it was never on HBO. It was never on any of them. Then Showtime, I guess, Paramount has the distribution rights or whatever. It's amazing how, like, you never used to, like, there used to be just channels, right? Even on network, it was like NBC was NBC, CBS was CBS, at least in your mind. And then, like, HBO was HBO. And now these days, with all, like, the different streaming services, this is on this, that's on that, and you have to actually know, like, all right, Time Warner, Warner Brothers movies, that's HBO. Paramount movies, that's Showtime. MGM is what used to be, Flix or Epix became MGM Plus, and MGM is owned by Amazon, so anything MGM is also going to be on Prime. It's so crazy how you have to know all that shit now. It used to just be like, all right, something on HBO. If a movie came out and I didn't see it, eventually it'll be on HBO. Doesn't work that way anymore. It's weird. It's all so stratified. Larry said, don't even get me started on Fredo. Yeah, Fredo is a bit of a mess. John Cazale, though. One of the best actors of all time. Highest success ratio of all time. John Cazale came out, made 6 movies? 7 movies? Was it even that many? This is why I started the show early today. We're in a bit of a rabbit hole, but we're almost there. Cazale did a bunch of theater stuff. Was in The Godfather, Dog Day Afternoon. Where is it? So he did, all right, so something called The American Way, and then a movie called NYPD. I don't know those two. Then 72, The Godfather. The Conversation in 74, which is an excellent movie, also Coppola. Godfather 2 in 74. Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. And then he died. He won a couple of awards, I think. Yeah, cited twice for the Obie Awards, Golden Globes. Never received an Oscar nomination. Shocking. Anyway, John Cazale, awesome actor. Larry's, I get pissed now when I have to rent the movie since all the streaming and movie isn't on it. I mean, I've talked about it before. I just get paralysis of just sitting there with too many options. Like, I still like TV. I would never cut the cord because I like just throw the tube on and like, what's on? All right, these are my options. I choose this one. It's the the least bad of all these, these different options that the TV is presenting me, and fine. Those are my options and that's it. I don't want the whole universe to choose from. I'll never fucking decide. Unless there's something like specific that I'm going to look for. If it's just like, hey, I'm going to browse and see what's there, never decide. I spend 3 hours going through the menu and then I'm just like, all right, well, guess the night's over. So yeah, I'm with you. It's just too much. Not that I don't love the availability and the entertainment options. Obviously, I have a giant pile of DVDs back there. I'm obviously a person who's subscribed to every streaming service. Anyway, centers. Christian Wood, top of the board. We've talked about him a few times. We've talked about Zinger. Jared Vanderbilt. As I said at the top, and we'll see him in just a second when I pull up the lineups, we are getting lineups with 4 Lakers in them. So I think there's plenty of viability to pile up different Lakers. It's probably enough minutes that you don't really even have to worry about any kind of like starter backup kind of bastardization. I think there's just enough opportunity there. And these guys are just at the right prices that they'll probably get you there. And that's shining through in most of these numbers. 5,300 for Jared Vanderbilt, 15.59% win rate on FanDuel, 15% of our top 150 on DraftKings at 46, 18.3% of our 18.3% win rate, 18% of our top 150. Collins, we talked about in the forward position, but again, looks strong. How many center-only guys are on the board at all? Paul Reed, center-only on the board on FanDuel, 21% win rate, 32% of the top 150. At 6,200, I tell you what, Reed's going to have to get his work done. That is not like a super discounted player. Plenty of minutes available for him, an opportunity with no Embiid, obviously. But 1.08 per minute on the season, 1.04 on DraftKings. The price is, it's still okay, but we're sub 5 points per dollar on DraftKings. We're just clinging to 5+ points per dollar on FanDuel. It's not like super value basis Paul Reed. It's just Paul Reed is a decent enough big man that with this many minutes we'll get there, or we've got the opportunity to get there. And then other center onlys, Kessler not really showing anything at all on FanDuel. Turner, just a 5% win rate, 2% of our top 150. Mo Bamba, downboard, I mentioned him earlier, 4,200. I trust that far less than the Reed one, unless we got Mo with starters minutes. Then we could flip those situations. Or actually, excuse me, that wouldn't be a direct flip. If Mo landed with starters minutes at 4,200, he would go from 18% win rate and 30% of the top 150 to rivaling some of these, high-end Lakers options. I don't think that's going to be the situation by any means, though. I don't know how much Mo I get to at 40 on the with just one bite at the apple. On DraftKings, he's not really a factor. 4,500, even with the util spot, not really hitting the board at all. Obviously, a killer point per minute option, 1.31 FanDuel points per minute over the course of the season, 1.23. It's just, what are the minutes going to look like? Hartenstein, just the price is kind of impacting him at this point. He's been unbelievably good over the last couple of months. 6.47% win rate on FanDuel with power forward and center eligibility. 0% of our top 150, though. On DraftKings, 5.6% win rate. Got to him a little bit more than that. 8% of our top 150 for 65. Still priced effectively or borderline effectively on DK. FanDuel's just got him right. He should justifiably be in this kind of range. Just getting boxed out by a lot of these other guys falling at the power forward center spots. Yeah, a lot of concentration around the power forward and center eligible types. I think we're going to see a ton of lineups where we're just flexing, 3 of these guys around the board. Steven says, 4 Lakers too much for me in a tournament, increasing fail rates there. Yeah, there are increasing fail rates the more that you pile into it, but they are, again, correctly priced, and if they're coming through in the sims, that's typically good enough for me to get in there. But I don't disagree that, you are increasing your risk to a degree there, but you're also dealing with a 4-game slate with that's where the value is. What 4 Sixers would I play? Because you don't see the value in Utah. Let me pull this back up to the full thing. I don't think we left anybody off the list here, did we? Jared Allen, 8,500. You can play Jared Allen. 16.3% winner on FanDuel. 17.3% of our top 150. call it 15% against a 20% exposure on DK. So Jared Allen actually looks pretty good on both sides. Like the center and power forward eligibility over here, like the price over here. Grimes out. Yeah, so that'll increase some value for some Knicks. We'll get on that in just a bit. So, assuming Maxi's in, I think you just go straight line through these 4. If you can afford that. But that's putting, 6,000, 65, 91, and 7,000 into your lineups. I don't think that's actually the answer you're looking for. I don't know that I would necessarily get to 4 unless we lost Maxi. If you lose Maxi, and maybe he did get scratched and I missed it during the show, questionable all day. If you don't have Maxi, then probably Tobias, Paul Reed, Oubre, and pick your poison. It's probably Pat Bev, though. You're still operating, though, in 5s and 6s and up to 7s. I don't know that unless you got Mo somehow in, again, starters run at 45, you'll get some minutes maybe around like a House or a KJ, but I don't love those options. And these are all, again, just super low end per minute performers anyway. So I think you just got better options in your mid threes. Like, do you really want to go out of your way to force Daniel House into your lineup, even if he gets a little bit of run? I think there's better ways to go. So it's probably 3 Sixers for me. But I think there are a strong 3. And I think that's how the pricing probably works out as well. I feel like you'd be a little hard pressed to get all 4 of that into your lineup. That's 28-6 total for 4 players, average of 7-2. I don't know that I love that. Grimy out and OG out now. All right, now we're talking. Right. Oh. All right. Let's jump to this. Whoops. Oh, come on, you bastard. acemind.io for our sims. So again, these were run before the show, obviously, and we're going to be dealing with some different looking lineups now, but we'll still see a lot of what we talked about. Tiz calling the Evan Fournier 50 burger. 150 on his way out the door, huh? Technically, they do have an option on him, so they could extend that. We're eventually going to trade his contract by another year. Hopefully, they manage to get rid of him this year. So just to ram that point home, this is DraftKings, and that's a lot of 4-man Laker groups. A lot of 3-mans. It's basically it's either 3 or 4 Lakers in most of these lineups on DraftKings. A lot of Lakers and Knicks. We'll see even more of that. Lakers and Utah hitting the board a little bit. So it's pretty clear where our value is coming from. Let me see if I can think through the Knicks real quick, though. So, oops. My initial inclination is that Grimes minutes become Deuce McBride minutes. Deuce probably goes, I had him at 11. Let's call it 22. Taking 20 off the board from Grimes. I think 22, 18 to 22 is probably right for Deuce. See where we come down on that. OG's out as well. There's a million minutes there. Malachi's going to play a little bit. Archie's probably going to get in the game a little bit. This is where, see, the Knicks are normally so straightforward and reliable. It's just in this situation, and Tibbs did do that a couple of weeks ago, where Fournier got thrust into some unexpected first half minutes. I forget what the minutes totaled out to. I don't think I've got that on. I hate that spot. He played 5.5 minutes that night. That was on the 18th. His high point for the season, he's played 3 times all season. His high point for the season came on December 30th. He played 17 minutes that night. 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. I assume even if he comes off the bench for even in the first half, I don't think we hit. I'm obviously, I know you're kidding about the 50 burger. I'm just trying to decide between like guys that Tibbs doesn't normally look to, like Malachi Flynn since they got him, like Fournier, like Ryan Arcidiacono. Taj Gibson's also back with the team now. Not that that's a direct correlation of minutes, but he probably does pick up a few just to get a little bit of run out there and, spell some of the big men. And they can shuffle things around enough between him, Hartenstein, Precious, and then guys like Josh Hart and Anunoby who can step into that 4. They can shuffle things around decently enough that I can see Tibbs leaning that direction. I don't know that Indy is the team that you necessarily want to have old-ass Taj Gibson out there trying to keep up against, though. That's going to get interesting. We are... Give that 2. Give that... Sims goes to... Sims picks up, obviously, from... I left him out of that big man group, but he's actually projected for minutes, and he picks up minutes before Taj does in that exact same calculus. He probably... I would imagine... It's there, and then I've still got... like 40 minutes to assign. That's going to get ugly. It's most likely beneficiary, probably Deuce. But he comes with all those warnings in terms of very good defensive player, gets his hands on the ball. Like I say about all the Knicks all the time. They've got a very consistent, specific theme on this team. And he's one of the lower end offensive guys on most nights. So it gets a little bit thin. The top end Knicks obviously still look tremendous and will pick up a little bit of additional upside again. But we'll probably see another 10 3-point attempts from DiVincenzo or more. Another huge night potentially from him. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to break down. Let's keep going through some of these lineups. Mamba Papev was on that list. Papev was the guy that he was my 4th man. Boss got popping in with minutes limit on Hartenstein. So the minutes limit got lifted the other night. Hartenstein went 29 the other night, which is back up toward his typical run. And Tibbs was, pretty specific, saying he's going to be back up to full speed and they're going to need him. It might not be, 36, 38, 40 or anything like that. I have him at the 29 that he played the other night, but I'll probably kick him up to like 31 or something like that tonight. He just looks good in an is who he is situation. And he wasn't coming off of, he wasn't posting in the is who he is situation. He was in that like playable okay range because he's priced correctly. But yeah, he's basically back to full strength unless they said something otherwise since the show started. In which case I'll catch it and I'll put it into, you'll see it come through in the projections. So yeah, let's talk lineups. That's a whole hell of a lot of D'Lo. A lot of Lakers. D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Rui, Christian Wood in that first one. But, yeah, that's a hell of a lot of D'Lo, Austin Reeves, and Rui, which were our 3 names overall off the top of the entire slate on both sites. So I'm certainly happy to see that it's coming through in the very top of lineups. If you got that exposure, but none of them appeared till we were like down and, had to scroll down a little bit, that would be a little bit more concerning. The fact that they're all in all of the top lineups is pretty reassuring. Aaron Nesmith is interesting as a fairly priced mid-range guy. I know I mentioned him as we were going through a bunch of the options, but just one of the interesting pieces, I think, from Indy. And if it turns into a 3-point shooting contest, Nesmith, 4.7 attempts per game, making 2.2. That's 46.3% so far this season. It's not the highest end in terms of the attempts. Buddy Hield is taking 7 a game, shooting 38%. But Nesmith can shoot. Tyrese is taking 8 a game, shooting 39%. So if this just becomes a little bit of a track meet and 3-point shooting competition, I could see wanting to have a piece of Indy coming back the other way. And it's 63 on FanDuel, 54 on DraftKings. Neesmith not crushing the board by any means, but definitely playable and a guy that I would consider working in. So I just resorted that by accident. So I like seeing him in that top overall lineup. That's interesting to me. And a couple of these as we go down the board. Plenty of room for Jason Tatum. We're obviously fairly Starsy Scrubsy, or just Scrubsy across the board. How are we doing on our spends? 49 nines and 50,000s up and down the list. I guess D'Lo's at a high enough price, and then Tatum, and then you're getting Tobias on the end of this one, Jared Allen. But I mean, these are coming together. This might be the most that we've seen, just like a straightforward couple of columns when we've jumped from the spreadsheet to the Sims. So you're getting a good player at point guard. Primarily D'Lo, but you can stick Jalen Brunson in there. You've got a decent amount of money to spend at point guard for sure. Derek White is grabbing a few shares. Primarily D'Lo and Jalen. A little bit of room for Tyrese Maxey, assuming he plays. Some Colin Sexton creeping in as we scroll down. But it's fairly obvious here. Austin Reeves or Dante DiVincenzo at your shooting guard spot. Not exclusively. We do have a couple of Donovan Mitchells creeping in. There's a Drew. There's a Colin Sexton. But for the most part, we're talking Austin Reeves. We're talking Dante DiVincenzo at your shooting guard. A little bit more variety at small forward. A lot of Rui shares landing there. But you've got some Neesmith coming through. Some of the Tatums jump into that spot. Some of the Josh Harts. A couple of the DiVincenzos. A little bit of mix and match. But I'd say lean-wise, you're probably like solid mids. You know, Rui is essentially mid, lower end of the mid-price tier, but mid-price. DiVincenzo, Josh Hart these days, definitely mid-price. Power forward looks like we've got a similar situation. If we're not playing, if we're not spending up for Tatum, then we're going to Rui. Little Dean Wade creeping in there. There's a John Collins as I glance down the board. OG obviously not on the slate anymore. Center, Christian Wood Day. Couple of Miles Turner's creeping in. Some Jared Allen's creeping in. We did mention Allen. I do like that opportunity. There's a Hartenstein. Paul Reed. The first Paul Reed doesn't land until here. Unless, is there... No. Not getting much Paul Reed on that. He was coming up more on FanDuel. A lot of the same names, but it looks a little bit spendy at guard. Assuming that you plugged in your Austin Reeves, your DiVincenzo's, or whatever over here. You've got a little bit to spend. No Quentin Grimes anymore, obviously. There's a DiVincenzo, but some Sexton. Some more D'Lo's falling over here with Maxey. So the ones where D'Lo landed here, you got a D'Lo and a Brunson with Reeves. Donovan Mitchell. They're definitely not the most comfortable looking lineups in the world. If you wanted to just judge by name brand, you're not going to show these lineups on the average day to anybody and have them say, wow, that's going to win you a slate. But on today's slate, these are pretty decent. If that top one's bringing you back $800 on average on the sim, this is one of the higher win rates we've seen. D'Lo, Reeves, Neesmith, Rui, Christian Wood, Colin Sexton, Dante DiVincenzo, and Jalen Brunson. You wouldn't expect to cash that lineup on a lot of nights, but there it is. But again, construction-wise, a lot of Lakers. You want, 3 Lakers for sure. 4 Lakers is playable, or coming up that way anyway. We'll have more value with the Knicks hitting the board. We'll see what happens with Memphis. There is so much to work with tonight. Probably some flexibility to, as long as the lineups are competitively shaped to these. Leave some money on the table, gain a little differentiation by leaving some money. Not something you want to do as a rule across 150 lineups. You don't want to do something like, all right, leave $500 on the table for every lineup. But if you're building one and you're in a situation where it's like, well, I've got 300 left and I could go up to this guy, but that guy's actually projected better, I like him better, then go for it. Leave a couple bucks on the table. At worst, it makes your lineup a little different. Tiz says Jackson Hayes starting again over Christian Wood, which is more likely to play the garbage time for the Lakers if it gets there. Either. Who's more likely to play the garbage time? Let me see if I can get back to the old popcorn machine. The last time's not even a great option. I forgot. Last time they played 3.5 minutes at the end of the game of all of Skylar Mays, Maxwell Lewis, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and Dylan Windler. That's how ugly that one got. Christian Wood played about 6 minutes in the fourth quarter. Jack started the fourth quarter and played about 6 minutes of the fourth quarter after playing the final 5.5 minutes of the third quarter. Hayes played the first 6 minutes of the third and then didn't come back until 6 minutes into the fourth. Played a 2-minute stint, minute and a half stint. Picked up a foul. Sat for a couple minutes, came back, played the final 3:21. If you want to say like straight, it's garbage time at the end of the game, who's going to get those minutes? Probably Hayes. Just the thing I'm deciding that on is the fact that he was the guy that was out there for those last 3.5 minutes with Dylan Windler, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Maxwell Lewis, and Skylar Mays. So that just tells me that's the guy that they see at that level. But that could easily coin flip either way. Either way, I think you're dealing with 22 to 26 minutes for both of those players. Potentially more. Actually, what do I have? I forgot we're dealing with both LeBron and AD out today. So obviously it's also not a direct 1-to-1 to that game, but that's the closest reasonable and recent facsimile we have of that. I've got Hayes at 24, Wood at 25. So I've got them splitting 48 minutes between the two of them right now. I don't know that it trends all that differently from that. I might make it like 26-22, something in that neighborhood. But your question about garbage time, yeah, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. If I had to guess, I'd say Hayes. Total guess. Jake likes Maxey if he plays. Harris is a smash either way. Agree with both of those. Donovan Mitchell or Jalen Brunson. Give me Jalen, especially again with just pieces missing. He's gonna have to score 140 points tonight for them to win. Obviously, a little facetious there, but yeah, definitely. Let me take Boss Basquiat's comment off the board there. Forgot about that. Plenty of upside for Jalen. Was already looking great and will gain a little bit of ground, even with some teammates coming off the board. All right, so we went through this on DK. Getting to that util spot, the forward and the guard spots were essentially like whoever you're not getting on the front side, you're getting on the back side. It's a lot of the same combos. And then looks like you got a decent amount of money to spend at util between your Jalen's, Jared Allen, Tobias Harris, even a Walker Kessler getting there. He usually comes up a little bit more on FanDuel. John Collins, Jared Allen, Mitchell again. So it looks like good spend at util today. But the builds fall directly in line with everything we were talking about. Twelfth line down is one that you built by hand earlier. Nine, 10, 11, 12. This one. All right. Stare at the screen for a second. If it's not the one that I'm highlighting and scrolling over, it's your responsibility to watch the other ones. So this is the one that I think is that you're talking about. That's the 12th one on the board. 0.24% win rate, 15% top one, 38.8% cash rate. Brings you back $356 on your 15 on the average. Not a bad little lineup. Reeves, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Rui, Hartenstein, Maxey, Tobias, and Christian Wood. I actually like that a lot. I would have, I could see myself very easily having built that lineup if I had built a DK placeholder. Nobody else is allowed to use that lineup. That's Tiz's lineup. Don't let me catch any of you guys using it. We're going to get busted. Get our show canceled. Not going to be allowed to play on DK anymore for collusion. One last time, since we got a bunch of people hanging out with us today. Appreciate everybody coming by. Not sure, was it just because I was on a little earlier today than I have been? I'll start doing shows more often at 4 o'clock. I can manage. Yeah, you guys obviously, you rock for coming by. Appreciate it. And hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. At rotoscouts Twitter handle. I dropped the Discord link into the chat earlier. Pop into the Discord. Always some good chat going on when people are making it in the Discord, but we could always use more. Keep the community active. FanDuel slate. Lot of Scottie Pippen. We talked about Jordan to start the show, and we'll talk about Scottie Pippen to end the show. His dad, one of the great all-timers. Just as much as that was Michael's team, Michael's Michael without Scottie, but the Bulls aren't those Bulls without Scottie. I know he's not. It would be silly to say Scottie Pippen is underrated, but potentially at this point maybe underappreciated for how good he was. Anyway, ton of Maxey. As I said when we were talking about it before, Maxey, Pippen, I'm sure, yeah, Pippen, Jalen, a couple D-Los, but primarily we're getting Jalen, Maxey, and Scottie Pippen rotating through the point guard spots. A couple of Maxey D-Los popping through, though. Jalen, Collins, Sexton. So there's a little bit of room for variety. But primarily, we're rotating through Scottie Pippen, Tyrese Maxey, and Jalen Brunson at the point guard. And that'll probably get even more so with Jalen. At shooting guard, as expected, ton of D-Lo, Austin Reeves. Our Dante DiVincenzo shares are falling more at the small forward spot, it looks like, because we're making room for D-Lo and Austin Reeves. Some Colin Sexton working his way in there. Some Oubre. Potentially we'll see a little bit more of Oubre depending on what happens with Philly. Like some Sam Merrill creeping through. Speaking of another good three-point shooter. Little oddball spots like Sam Merrill are interesting to me on a slate like this too, especially when he sims out this well. Just one to keep in mind for I've got whatever he costs, X amount, 5,000 or whatever it is. And I've got an open shooting guard spot. Let me pop a Sam Merrill in there in my 150th. Eric Herman's here. What's up, Eric? Just found your page. With Memphis having no one to run the point, how come Pippen is not showing up? He's all over the place on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he was at 47 on DraftKings. That's the same price he's at on the FanDuel slate. Just getting boxed out, probably, I would expect, by some of that Lakers popularity. Or that Lakers success, although at the point, not really. Who were we getting at? I know we just went through it. But now I'm curious about that. He's projected strongly. It just didn't come through in terms of the sim. We got a lot of Austin Reeves and D-Lo, a lot of D-Lo at point on DraftKings. And then he was in like the 7% range. .5% win rate. He's in 4.67% of the top 150. 5.14 points per dollar. The value is there. There's definitely a little bit of demonstrable ceiling there. But just the way that price is working against some of the other values in how these DK lineups are coming together, he's not quite getting there. Not the way that he is on FanDuel. It's a better relative price on FanDuel too, of course. I'm just surprised we're not getting any of them up toward the top. There's one. Call that, 30 or so lineups down? Let's see if, like, this was 12. Yeah, it's probably about 30. So he can get there for sure on DraftKings. Playable value. No issues whatsoever with it. Potentially could look a little bit better in the final run, or just a different run. Maybe different run, different 50,000 sims. Maybe he lands at 10% or so. But yeah, definitely showing more value for us on FanDuel. But good question. Yeah, it's price relative to slate and other available options, Mamba, as you're getting at there. Mama's talking about Scottie Pippen's mom, Scottie Pippen's wife, Scottie Pippen Jr.'s mom, and who was it that was dating her for a while there, or different word? I'm out of coffee. I was gonna take a swig of coffee and continue talking. Now I just gotta wind things down. Go get some more coffee. It's like right over there. I can see it. I can smell it. I can hear it when the thing pops. I just can't reach it. So, yeah, a lot of Scottie Pippen, Maxey, Pippen, Brunson rotating through the point, but you're also getting a little bit of your D-Los and so on there. Again, DiVincenzo shares mostly falling into the small forward. A lot of Tatum coming up at small forward. Little bit concerned about the Tatum, just considering the price and the idea that he might just play, 3 and a quarters, just a few rotations, and then they're up by 25 points. But I have room for that. I have room for the idea that if they succeed, he's going to succeed and succeed enough on this kind of a slate. Paul Reed shares at center. Definitely comfy about those. Not comfy at all about the Mo Bamba shares. Got to keep an eye on that one. Obviously, again, the points per minute are great. There are mid-teens backup type minutes. If you got him in the starting lineup, he'd be a absolute rocket ship. I question the upside, but he does sim through based on the value and the points per minute, even with limited backup style minutes. I probably prefer Reed, Christian Wood, Santi Aldama. I do like the mix of power forwards. We're seeing a lot of the Lakers value fall at power forward with our Rui shares, our Christian Wood shares, our Jared Vanderbilt shares. But we're also getting a decent mix around some of the Tatum, some Tobias falling in there, some Santi Aldama, a little bit of Josh Hart landing in there, KP, Jared Allen. So decent mix at the big man spots on FanDuel. It looks like our primary stars are coming in one of the point guard spots. You get like 1 star at point guard, 1 star forward, whether you want to put him at power forward or small forward, and it's primarily Jason Tatum. And then a lot of like the mid type values with a little bit of spend for like a Kristaps Porzingis or a Tobias Harris on the back end of it. But we are very, again, Laker dependent. A lot of Laker 4s. It's more 3-mans, I feel like, on FanDuel relative to where we were on DK. I feel like in our top 20 or whatever here, there were a few more 4-mans. But it's close, and it's very, very playable on both. As Larry was pointing out earlier, though, you inflate your risk of, hey, I'm now depending on 4 lousy players, 4 backup players, or 3 backups and a erratic starter. But situationally, it's good. Price-wise, it's good. DFS-wise, it's good. But yeah, you are piling more risk the more you grab from that one spot. But today the math works. FanDuel always bringing back a little less. Top lineup brings you back 100 against your 5. You're buying in for a lot less on FanDuel today. No stars really at center. What were the who did I say was soaking up the center shares? Was it just Paul Reed? I think it was. Yeah, Reed and Bamba were just grabbing all those center only shares. Yeah, our biggest name center only wise, or center eligible period on FanDuel. Probably Zinger. I guess you could say Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, who we didn't talk about at all. Siakam, 1.87% win rate on DraftKings, 0.67% of our top 150 for 84 at both forward spots. On FanDuel, 82 power forward and center, 3.8% win rate. Just landed in 0.67% of the top 150 over there. I can see it. like at those prices, just relative to where everything else, like think of how many of those key plays to the slate fell at these power forward spots. I think he's just getting squeezed. Obviously, there's ceiling there. That said, some pretty good bigs that he's going up against. Yeah, that's interesting though. That one snuck up on me. I forgot that Siakam was even there because we really didn't. We just flew past him every time we looked at the slate. Didn't sim through at all. Aldama and Conchar expected to play. All right, excellent. I like that. What's up, Chan? Chan, one of the glorious minds behind acemind.io, where we get our sims. What we're looking at. He built this. I think he did. He was one of the guys that built this. I don't know if it's like he conceived it, Blaine programmed it, he programmed it, Blaine conceived. I don't know. I don't know how the math works there. But one of the key guys behind the scenes making all this fun stuff happen. And a good dude, too. I've talked about those guys before. And one of the reasons I like working with these guys, like literally every time, even something as dumb as just like, I can't figure out why this is not working. I can message these guys and it's just like, and I see them interacting that way in their Discord with their customers. It's not just because I am me and doing shows and talking about their product. Like these guys care about this shit and they're on top of it and they play. So it's like, you know, you're talking to guys who are actively in there using their product and playing and seeing the same things that you are. So if you run into anything, they're Johnny on the spot with making changes. And they've got all kinds of good stuff coming from what I hear too. One programmer love another, they get together. Am I thinking swapping Russell for Zinger? In what context, Mamba? I think Russell, assuming we're talking D'Lo, is a better option than Porzingis overall. I'm not sure the context you meant on that question, Mamba. I'm a loser till I win the millie. Is there a 3K guy on DK that I can slot in? Probably. Let's see. Just dead 3? Maybe not. I'm going to say no. Unless something changes. I don't see at 3,000 anything viable. An 8.5 point projection for Agbaji and an 8.5 point projection for Max Christie. I guess maybe Christie, like if you're talking about like, I understand that I'm making a dart throw that is almost definitely not going to succeed, but I want a $3,000 guy. Maybe you could get there with Christie. I've got him at 12 minutes and he's not at all relevant to the slate. 0.01% winner. 0.01% of 50,000 times he was in the winning lineup. 0% of our top 150, but he is a dead min price shooting guard. But yeah, there's not a lot to work with in that tier. If I can take it out to, jeez. Yeah, you're really, I think your bottom price today is probably 35 on DraftKings. At 35, we get Dean Wade. Reasonable projection, reasonable results, power forward and center eligible. Nobody below that is showing any kind of anything. And then you've obviously got options between 3, 5, and 4. But yeah, tough value on DK today. Oh, is McBride 31? You know what? Why did he wait? He's on this board. Why didn't he not come up? Oh, you know why he didn't? You know why I didn't spot him? That's a good call. Thank you, Conscious. Yeah, if he's 31, it's because I hadn't changed the projection, so I was looking at the numbers, but I didn't think through that he's going to pick up some minutes now. Yeah, Deuce McBride might be your answer. He was at a 9 projection for 31 point guard, shooting guard, 9 DraftKings points. That'll go up. That was with 11 minutes on. I don't know if I'm going to straight double it. It's not necessarily directly linear like that. So, reasonable expectation, 15, 16, maybe somewhere in that territory as a projection. Puts him definitely on the board at 3,100. Good call. Thank you, whoever said that. Conscious. That's what I get for using data that's now 2 hours old. We've been going for 2 hours. One of our longer NBA shows in a while. For a 4-game slate. It's a fun one. Yeah, I think that's the move. I think McBride is your move there. Not just because we share the same last name. Do like that, though. Still don't have a one of his jerseys or like jersey t-shirts or whatever. I have one from, what's the guy's name? The Giants had a corner named McBride a couple of years ago. Washed out pretty quick. I don't know where he is now. But I've got one of his. It was a gift. For a while there, every Thanksgiving, when my cousins would come over and everything, my mom would get like 6 Giants t-shirts for all of us. I've mentioned this before on football shows. And infallibly, within like a year or two of getting that shirt, the guy was gone. I've got like an Ingram. I've got that McBride one. We do have a Saquon one, which is now in probably its last year of utility. Or done with its last year of utility. But yeah, that one was a gift. I probably wouldn't buy myself the jersey or the shirt just because it had my name on it. But if I got it, I'd be like, that's cool. I like that it's got my name on it. And I would never just, if there wasn't a McBride available on the roster, I wouldn't like go get the jersey and put my own name on it. That I don't love. Anyway, guys, pink hand waving to you too, Millie. Appreciate you, buddy. I think I'm going to punch out 2 hours in. Total blast of a show. Put me in a much better mood. I appreciate it. You guys rock. Hit the like button one last time. I'll get everything updated on the site. We're about an hour out from lock, so we got to get that done. Keep an eye on that. Pop into the Discord. Follow the rotoscouts Twitter handle, so on and so forth. Good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something. I'll see you tomorrow.